Hello all you sons of biscuits out there, and welcome to the Toast of Nate, where we talk about all things movie related, music related, and well, pretty much anything else. So, if you have any suggestions of future episodes, leave them in the comments down below. Make sure you go to Facebook, like us there, Instagram, follow us there, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell down below to be notified of all future videos. So, I wanted to give a little backstory. I call the channel the Toast of Nate, simply meaning basically, the life of Nate, as I talk about all things, that I love, all things that you love, and you and I are all friends now, and so you're a part of my life. And to all my new friends out there that were saying that Maroon 5 was going to do an awesome show because Maroon 5 is just this amazing band, and I hate to say I told you so, but me and pretty much the entire internet told you so. So that brings up the conversation of, well, who would do a good halftime show? A friend that I work with says Metallica would do a good show. My boss even says Garth Brooks. As for me, I would say the Foo Fighters would do a great show. I think they would put on a hell of a show, and I would love to see that, despite, Dave Grohl's recent Good Time show that he had. But as for the reason that we are here today, we are going to be talking about 10 records that I have pulled out of my vinyl collection that are some of my favorites, and I'm going to review them for you and give you my recommendations. So here we go. So the first album that we're going to be talking about what? The first album that we're going to be talking about today is an album from 1967 called Are You Experienced, from the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Right here. Great album, songs that everybody recognizes. Even you're not a big Hendrix fan or whatever. Maybe even you listen to a little bit of rock, but you ain't that familiar. I'm sure you've heard at least a couple of songs from this album in particular. Songs like Purple Haze, which starts off the album. Great intro to the album, by the way. Just comes into with a da 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 da, just badass. Just great intro song. Hey Joe, good slow blues jam song. I remember a band that a couple of my buddies were in a few years back. They used to actually do a jam version of that. That's a song right there. You can just jam that song for a while. The Wind Cries and Mary is another great song. That's actually one of my favorite Jimi Hendrix songs. Probably my favorite Jimi Hendrix song. It's just a very chill, very calm, cool song. It's nice. It's a very nice song. Fire, just pounding the whole time. Mitch Mitchell back there on the drum. He's killing it the entire album. Mitch Mitchell, the drummer for the Jimi Hendrix Experience, just killing it the entire album. Fire actually was the first song I ever learned how to play on bass. Great song. Foxy Lady. I don't know a single person alive that when you hear Foxy Lady you don't think about Wayne's World. At least if you've seen Wayne's World, which if you haven't. But anyway, very good album. Hendrix's top-notch performance all the way through. Noel Redding's bass playing, it's just so profound. The entire album, it really sticks out, and you can hear that the man is just incredible. And Mitch Mitchell, like I said before, just an incredible drummer the entire way through, banging it out just as hard as he can. Anyway, great album, for your everyday extracurricular activities. Definitely recommend it. Throw it on. Next up, we got Breakfast in America from Supertramp, 1979. And I want to start off and say that I absolutely love this album. Starts off with Gone Hollywood, and such an epic track to start off the album. Album full of notable hits. I was playing the other day for a friend of mine at work, and he was like, what are you playing? I told him Supertramp, Breakfast in America album. I don't know who that is. I was like, yeah you do, trust me, you know Supertramp. And the song, what was the song that came on? I think it was, the Logical Song. That's what it was. It was the next song. It was the second song, and instantly he was like, yep, I've heard these guys. And the next song, Breakfast in America Goodbye Stranger came on, and yep, I know that one too. They're recognizable songs, easily sing-alongable songs, sing-alongable. Yeah, great album. Definitely recommend it. Take the Long Way Home. That's a song that I first learned on harmonica. That just great harmonica. Great song, great album. Just the whole way through, perfect album. Not a bad song on it. Definitely recommend. I'm sure it's on Spotify and all that, but if you have a vinyl shop, record shop near you, definitely go see if they have it. Buy it. Definitely worth the money that you pay for it. Check it out. Alright, the next one on our list is by one of my all-time favorite female vocalists, Miss Pat Benatar, with her album Crimes of Passion from 1980. And this woman can sing. I don't care who you are. My grandma doesn't like Stevie Nicks. My mom doesn't like Norah Jones. But I don't care who you are. Pat Benatar can sing. Love her voice on this album. Killer opening track right from the start with Treat Me Right. Just Neil Giraldo's riffs through the whole thing, man, they're absolutely killer. The solo to Hit Me With Your Best Shot, still one of my favorite solos. It's just it killer solo, and probably one of my favorite Pat Benatar songs is on this album. Hell Is For Children. It just a great deeper meaning behind that song. I'm sure you hear me say that hell is for children. Like, whoa, hey, what is he saying? Like that's a devil music. Like he's saying that children are supposed to go to hell. No, that listen to the song, look up the lyrics, deeper meaning behind it. Great song, just and towards the end of it, it just gets it gets a little heavy, and it just goes all out, and awesome track, great album. Check it out. Hell Is For Children. Hit Me With Your Best Shot, Treat Me Right. Great songs off of it. Crimes of Passion, Pat Benatar. Next up, we have our very first live album on the list, and this is easily one of my favorite albums of all time. I know this is like a favorite albums list, and that's pretty much redundant, but seriously, this album pretty much changed my life. As I heard this album, every part of it was just downright influential to me, from the vocals to the guitar playing to the drumming to the bass playing, all of it, organ, all of it. It was completely influential. This changed my life. This one's made in Japan by Deep Purple from 1973. It's actually like kind of it's a live album, but it's made up of 2 different shows that they did in Japan in 1972. And it opens with Highway Star, and if you know Deep Purple, you know the song Highway Star. It's just already an energetic song, but when they do it live on this album, it is completely balls to the wall, just going at it the whole time. John Lord shreds his solo as always. Ritchie Blackmore shreds his solo. And then they go into Child in Time, and that's where Ian Gillan does, he sings, and it's very soft and very chilling and very laid back at the beginning, and as it picks up, he goes to these high vocals, not falsetto, almost falsetto, just powerful vocals. And that, when the first time I heard him do that in that song, that's what made me want to become a vocalist. That right there, I was like, I want to do that right there. And just great album. Of course, they do Smoke on the Water. Great one for drummers. If you have never heard the song The Mule from this album, make sure you go check it out. I know there's live videos on YouTube of it. Drummers, check it out. Ian Pace, one of the greatest drummers I've ever seen. His freaking hands, man. Great drummer. He's just absolutely great. They even do like a almost 20-minute version of Space Truckin', which they really jam the crap out of that song, man. But still one of the greatest albums ever. If you enjoy Deep Purple, check it out. If you never really listened to Deep Purple, make sure you check it out. And we're going to be seeing a little bit more from Mr. Blackmore from Deep Purple here in a little bit. But right now, let's move on to the next one. The album Photographs and Memories by Jim Croce. And it came out in 1974. And Jim Croce didn't have a very long career. He died in 1973. And because he had a very short career, he had a good collection of songs, but not a whole bunch. It's kind of like Buddy Holly. You get real famous, and then a couple years later, tragedy strikes. But they compiled. I think his wife had something to do with it, if I'm not mistaken. But they compiled about 17 songs on the album, and this album is truly one of the best albums ever. It is, if you want a chill album, if you want an album that'll make you laugh, make you cry, make you happy, have a good time, tap your foot, anything, this album right here has it. Just, easily recognizable songs on here. Even if you've never heard, you're like, who's Jim Croce? You've heard Bad Leroy Brown, You Don't Mess Around with Jim, I Got a Name, and more and more of these songs. These songs are very popular songs, and he was a very popular artist in the short amount of time that he was alive and famous. But great album. Jim Croce, just great artist. I definitely wanted to put this on here and give a shout out to that album. As for all albums, make sure you check this one out. It's definitely a good one, especially for all the acoustic guitar players that are getting in the fingering style. Jim Croce was great with the finger style technique of the guitar, and great album, like I said. So check that one out. Photographs and Memories from Jim Croce. Next, like I promised, we're back with Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow, with the album Ritchie Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow, the album. Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow, the band, I guess. 1975, great album anyway. It's the debut of Ronnie James Dio on vocals. And dear Lord, what an honor that is and a glory to behold. Ronnie James Dio, of course, being one of the greatest vocalists of all time in the metal community. And in my personal thoughts, one of the greatest vocalists of all time, period. Now, this is Ritchie Blackmore's band after he left Deep Purple. He got some musicians together, and I guess you can tell by it, he pretty much took control of the whole band. Got Ronnie James Dio, who was previously in a band called Elf, to sing for him. And from the opening track on this album is Man on the Silver Mountain. Now, this track right here is an epic track. It's powerful, and I just want to point out, if you've never listened to Ronnie James Dio and you want to hear some great opening tracks, he's the king of it, man. Terror Woman from Rising, Neon Kings from Heaven and Hell, Stand Up and Shout, Holy Diver, We Rock from Last in Line. And a lot would agree, when he does an opening song, he goes all out. His opening tracks are just all out epic, great songs. Most Dio albums, start to finish, if he's on it, it's grade A good. You know, Dio was always one of the best. And it seems when you get Dio and Ritchie Blackmore, the first time I heard, because I was really into Deep Purple and really into Ritchie Blackmore, and found out that he did Rainbow with Dio, and I was big with Dio at the time too, you know, learning Rainbow in the Dark on the guitar and all that, and learning Highway Star from Deep Purple, and found out that he did Rainbow with Dio, and instantly was just like, wow, went and heard it. And the first song I heard from him wasn't on this album, but it was Stargazer, which is another great song you should check out. But great album, you know. Snake Charmer is another good song. Black Sheep, just great song. Dio's vocal performance is grade A. Ritchie Blackmore shreds and does his guitar thing like, you know, only he can do, and just a great album. Definitely recommend it. Metalheads, check it out if you haven't heard it. Ronnie James Dio, Ritchie Blackmore, perfect as always. Next up, we have one of my favorite albums and one of my best friend's favorite albums. So I'm kind of doing this for me, doing this a little for her, hoping she sees it. Shout out to her, you know who you are. This one is the 1977 album Rumours from Fleetwood Mac. This album right here, there's a reason that this album was so popular back in the day. So many hits, so many great classic rock songs are on this album. Just to name a few, you've got The Chain, you've got Gold Dust Woman, Don't Stop, Go Your Own Way, just amazing classic rock songs. You know, you go to Pandora, put on classic rock radio, boom, you're gonna hear Gold Dust Woman probably, or Go Your Own Way, definitely The Chain. You're gonna hear these songs, pretty much every one of these songs except for maybe a couple of them. But this album is perfect. Great songs, great vocal performances the entire way through. The vocal harmonies are there. Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks, Christine McVie, John McVie, all of them, their vocals are on point the whole time. Great instrumentation the whole way through. Like I said, just a great album. The Chain got one of my favorite little bass solos from John McVie. The do 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 do. Just great bass solo there. If you're over 5 years old and you haven't heard Go Your Own Way, in a movie or everyday life or something, man. Like, you have been living in the deepest hole imaginable. Like, you were close to the center of the earth, I'm sure, because that song's been in so many movies. And if like that's one of the main ones. If you find a classic rock channel, even in your nearest town, they're gonna play that freaking song, man. Like, just a great song, great album. Lindsey Buckingham, great guitar performance the whole way through. Stevie Nicks, great performance. Everybody just great performance the whole way through. Rumours, Fleetwood Mac. If you haven't heard it, check it out. Great album. Now we move into what is probably my favorite album of the whole 10, and probably my favorite album of all time. From 1967, Sgt Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band from the Beatles. Now this album is just, it's got a very special place in my heart. You know, I started getting into rock music when I was kind of young. I didn't really get into it hard until I got about 12 or 13. But my dad had played like some Jackson Browne, the Eagles, and stuff like that. But I'd never gotten to the Beatles until I was about 13. Well, maybe I was about 15. Yeah, I was about 15 when I started getting into the Beatles. But when I did, I was instantly hooked. I started buying everything that the Beatles had, all their albums, all that. And I found the Sgt Pepper album in a pawn shop for $10, complete with the cutouts and everything. And that, to this day, that album has been my favorite. It's great songs, you know, from the beginning. The Sgt Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band with a little help from my friends, with Ringo singing. Just great intro to the album. You know, you got Getting Better, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, Within You Without You from George Harrison. Good Morning. I actually, if you don't know that song, you should go check that song out. You should check the whole album out. But there's a rooster crowing that starts the beginning of Good Morning, and I set it up real loud on my mom's phone a couple years back as her alarm clock ringtone, and she wasn't too happy. It scared her to death. Thought it was hilarious, but great song. But one I really want to touch on is A Day in the Life. This song, it closes the album out. And if you don't go and listen to any of these albums, if you don't do any of that, if you don't do any of this that I recommend, listen to this song. A Day in the Life is seriously one of the greatest songs I have ever listened to. The musical composition is there. It's a beautiful song, start to finish. Just great. There's not a bad thing that I can say about this song. It really showcases how influential the Beatles could be and are today through other people's music. It shows the wide variety of what they can do and what they're capable of. It was really their masterpiece, in my opinion. So A Day in the Life, just great song. Sgt Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band from the Beatles. If you haven't heard it by now, shame on you. You know, I don't know what you're doing, but go check that one out. Alright, we're going to talk about another one here, just real quick. Is just a really good album, and I found it when I was going through all my vinyls, and I was like, man, I hadn't heard this in a while, so I put it on, and just great rock and roll record, man. This one's Sports, from Huey Lewis and the News from 1983. You know, from the creators of the Back to the Future thing, you know, dun dun, don't need money, dun dun, don't need fame, dun dun, you know, that song. Great straight rock and roll record, you know, start to finish. You know, The Heart of Rock and Roll. The heart of rock and roll is the beat. I Want a New Drug. If this is it, please let me know. Great, great songs. Just rock and roll. Put it on when you're having a cookout, when you're chilling with some friends, just sitting on the couch, or even if you're just by yourself, just drinking a beer. This is a great chill out record all the way through. I had to mention it. Huey Lewis and the New Sports album. Alright, and this is number 10. The last album that we're going to talk about tonight is one of today, tomorrow, whenever. We are going to talk about one of my favorite albums, like I have said throughout this video, and I do not know why I'm still saying. This one is The Stranger from Billy Joel. The guy from frickin' Step Brothers. Play The Stranger! Sir, we strictly do 80s Billy Joel, sir. Start the Fire was not from that album, by the way. But this album is absolutely perfect in my opinion. I put this album on all the time to this day. I've had this album on vinyl for almost 8 years now, and I still listen to it constantly. Just a great album. Moving Out, Scenes from Italian Restaurant, Just the Way You Are, Vienna, Only the Good Die Young. Just such a solid album, man. Billy Joel's such a good songwriter and such a good pianist, and Vienna and Just the Way You Are, She's Always a Woman. They're beautiful songs. And then you got, Moving Out's just rocking, and it's just a good album. I highly recommend this album too. Like I said yes, I take notes. Big whoop, wanna fight about it. Like I said with A Day in the Life, if you don't check out any other album, definitely check out The Stranger. One of the best albums ever. I couldn't recommend any of these albums more. If you haven't heard these albums and you like these albums, buy these albums and give this video a like. Make sure you subscribe in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe. Ring the bell to be notified of all of our new videos. I want to thank you so much for watching today's episode of the Toast of Nate. New videos will be out every Wednesday. I really hope you enjoy it. Make sure you leave suggestions in the comments below of future episodes you'd like me to do, or just friendly suggestions of how I can do better with the channel. Like I said, I hope you enjoy this video, and as always, stay golden, everybody. See you in the next video.